Cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome is caused by heavy long-term use of THC products, and the symptoms include extreme nausea, cyclical nausea, so it happens same period of time every day. And honestly, it's kind of like a low constant nausea, but it's very, very heavily worse in the mornings and kind of at night now, which is new, so that sucks. Um, Also, symptoms like vomiting and extreme abdominal pain. Yikes, I'm experiencing this. And I have another symptom, an extra unpleasant symptom. Essentially, my digestive tract, it shut down. I threw up all the bile in my stomach, and I had to go to the ER yesterday at 2 in the morning. I had my parents take me. It was so scary. I've never been to the ER before in my life, and I don't know, I wanted to talk about it. It really began about 2 weeks ago. On a Tuesday, I woke up and I had food poisoning. I shit everything out that I had, and I threw up a little bit, but mostly, it's food poisoning. It kind of knocked me on my ass for about a week, which sucked. I was suffering for a while, and ever since I got the food poisoning, I had nausea in the mornings. It was always unpleasant. I just extreme 3 hours of extreme nausea, and then the rest of the day I was fine. And over the weekend, this weekend, I went camping with my parents and boyfriend, and everything was great. We all ate the same foods and stuff, so it's not like I got sick from food again. That was on Sunday, and we came home the same day, just a little day trip up there. Everything was normal. Came home, I showered, I watched an episode of House, and I went to bed. And I woke up at 4 in the morning and threw up for the next 6 hours. It was awful. Probably like 7 hours, actually. It was terrible. Just constant puking, a little bit of diarrhea, which sucked. So I just threw up mostly the whole morning, and I had nothing left of me. I could barely function, so, but I still ate a banana. I had some fruit and yogurt later in the day, and, by like 5 p.m., I was feeling just fine, to where I could like jump around and be dancing and shit. Like, I was just fine. I was like, wow, okay. That was just like a little extra bad nausea. I don't know what that was. And like, I don't know. I was really scared. I was like, maybe it was the food I ate because we had pork before, and maybe I just was sensitive to it. Oh my god. No, not the case apparently, because the next day it happened again. And it wouldn't have happened from food if I had literally thrown up everything I had. I threw up everything I had to where I was starting to have green bile. And apparently you're supposed to go to the doctor right away for that. So I didn't, but green bile was very scary. It was just neon yellow all the time. Even though I ate a lot when we were camping and everything, I didn't throw up any food. I only threw up my stomach bile, which was disgusting, and, shot everything else out. And I was like, okay, at least I'm going to bed feeling fine. I went to bed that Monday feeling just fine. I woke up Tuesday and I was sick again. I threw up at, 7 in the morning? I threw up until 10, so 3 hours. 3 hours of throwing up. I was like, wow, this sucks. But, maybe it'll just be like yesterday where it gets better in the evening. And it never really let up on the nausea that whole day, which was strange. And at night, that Tuesday night, I started to feel so nauseous again. I just couldn't function, I couldn't do it, and I began throwing up again. And so everything that I had worked so hard to try and eat, which was only a banana and some fruit and yogurt again, everything I tried to drink, I couldn't keep watered down. I couldn't do anything, and it was 11 at night. It was 11 at night, and I'm throwing up, and my boyfriend has to go to work at 4 in the morning, and I just threw up until 2 in the morning, and I had to text my mom, hey, I need to go to the ER. I can't stop throwing up. I can't sleep. There's nothing that's helping. I need to go. It's been 2 days of vomiting, which you're supposed to go 1 full day of vomiting. You're supposed to go to the doctor. You're supposed to go if you're throwing up green bile. And, uncomfortably so, my shit was yellow and mushy and mucousy, or it was mostly solid and green, like a grass green. It was so scary. I was like, oh my god, I can't digest any food that I'm eating if I don't throw it up. If I don't throw it up. So I'm not holding anything in. I'm made of nothing. Right now, yesterday I was able to eat a banana, some yogurt, some berries. I had 2 bites of toast, a couple bites of watermelon, and I didn't throw up at all yesterday. But I went to the ER at 2 in the morning yesterday and I didn't get discharged until 5. I've never had an IV before, so now I have that bump in my arm, look like I do heroin, whatever. They had to hook me up to 2 bags at once, dripping into me because I was so dehydrated because I couldn't keep anything down. I couldn't keep anything down. Like I was so delusional too because they took 3 vials of my blood and I didn't notice. My mom told me, like, I was like, oh, aren't they gonna like draw my blood or something? Mom was like, oh honey, they already did that. I was like, oh, okay. I was just so out of it. They had the blood pressure and the like, finger thing on me, and right as I checked in, they had that on me, and when they were asking more questions, apparently they took it off. And at some point when they're asking the questions to me, the like nurse guy trying to check me in and get like everything written down, what I had the symptoms of and everything, and like medical history and stuff, if I'm allergic to medicines, you know how all that goes. But apparently at some point he took that off and I didn't notice, and I just started looking at my arm. I'm like, Mom, where did this stuff go? And she's like, oh honey, he took it off already. So it was a quite an event. I mean, I hadn't slept barely. I still all night last night I was just nauseous, and they gave me antiemetic medication which is supposed to prevent nausea and vomiting, and I haven't thrown up, but oh my god, I'm so nauseous, and so I can't, either the medicine isn't working or it would be that much worse without it. So life sucks. I'm in so much pain, but as soon as I got in, the nurse was very nice. Like, everyone at the hospital was wonderful, and they seemed very knowledgeable, doing what they're doing. I mean, the guy, I had no veins because I was so dehydrated. My arm was just pale. You could not see a vein in my arm. It was so scary. And because I've always been like a veiny person. I've always got the really like gross hands, where they pop out and stuff, but I didn't have any veins, and the guy still got the IV in. So what a champ. Shouts out. People who can do their job well, congrats, you're amazing. I have a lot more respect for nurses and doctors after that visit because they were actually knowledgeable. I've never been to a hospital before. I've never been to the ER. The past couple years, I went to my pediatrician until I was like 17 because you can go as long as you're a minor. And it was just like my set doctor. I had someone who had taken care of me since I was basically an infant. So it was nice to have that. And then my pediatrician died. She died. She's old. She kicked the bucket. So I haven't had a doctor since I was 17. I just go to primary health when I need a doctor's note to get out of work. I don't know if I was sick. I just toughed it out, but I've never been this sick before. I was so scared. I think the last time I was that scared of being sick, I was in sophomore year, and I had like a really bad flu, and the doctor told me it could turn into pneumonia, and that was scary. I was like, turns out I don't want to die. So that was scary, and luckily, the Tamiflu, everything cleared up by itself. I took care of it, but wow. I was so scared going into the ER, and the doctor, completely unprompted, I never even told him I smoked weed. He was like, okay, well, there's this thing called cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome, where essentially, too much THC. Anyway, he said that's what I had. That was his best guess. And I'm like, damn, okay, everything you're like the daily use, yeah, it fits me. And he was like, okay, that's fine. The best way to deal with it is just to stop completely, but if you wean off, that's your choice. He said that I could feel like shit for 10 days or more. He's known people who suffered this for months or years if they don't stop completely. If you're just like doing much lower doses, it can prolong how long the suffering is, because it's so much suffering. And I never thought that would happen to me. Because, I was fine. Obviously I was nauseous for 2 weeks straight, which is not fine in hindsight, but I think that's probably, if I didn't have that, I would have just thrown up and thought I was like, wow, okay, I'm throwing up a lot. But then nausea 2 weeks prior, I'm like, okay, you know what, something's really, really wrong here. Like, something is wrong with me, to where my quality of life is I'm sick all the time. And that's nothing good. I can't live like that. Nobody can live being sick all the time. That's not living, okay? It's tough. It's tough. And I know there's people who suffer more than me. I know there's people with cancer sitting in a bed terminally ill and they have nothing to do. That sucks for them. But that doesn't mean it doesn't suck for me or anyone else who's gone through this. The reason it happened to me after only like a couple months of smoking, even though it was consistent use, it wasn't like super heavy, but I'm genetically predisposed to having it. My mom is allergic to weed. She smoked in high school and just said like she didn't have a good time. So I always knew that, and that's why I was always afraid to try, but I was like, fuck it, we ball. And apparently my older sister, she also had an issue with that back in the day when she was smoking a lot. She also began to have the symptoms I had, like that constant nausea, and she stopped before it got to where I was, the vomiting and all that fun stuff. So, it makes sense. It makes sense that I just can't handle it. I'm sure, 100% sure, that there's people smoking weed or edibles or whatever. It can help them. I think it can benefit people in their daily life. I'm not those people. And, I was just it was just recreational use, whatever, but it was also kind of just a means to escape. I was, drinking a lot, and that just hurt my stomach, and smoking was like drinking without the hangover. I was like drinking without any tummy hurt after, and it was silly and fun, and honestly it was just something to do and get my mind off everything. I quit my job and I didn't have a plan. I have a plan now. I have things in place. I have better ways to cope. And so while I think, not everyone abuses, I was not using it for the right reasons. And for that reason, I quit cold turkey, and I still feel like shit, and I'm going to feel like shit for the next couple weeks, which is really, really saddening to know. This is what I have to look forward to for the next couple days, is just waking up nauseous and feeling awful. But that's what's been up. Fun stuff. Loving life. What can I say? But you live and learn. I learned a lot. I think my favorite part was just sitting outside with my boyfriend. I loved that. And it was just a reason to go outside. And I even noticed, since I started smoking, I made an effort to go sit on the balcony more, even when I wasn't smoking. Even just not to go out there. I would read outside. I would, just go outside to get on my phone. It was being outside, at least. And I think that's what I really like. And so that's something, I learned I want to keep in my life. I have that as a better cope. I started reading, playing Minecraft, Sims, whatever, fun stuff, drawing, all of that, and I think that I'll be fine. It's just gonna suck so bad. I feel destroyed. I feel, my body is wrecked. I can't tell you how, that was a total of 9-10 hours of throwing up over 2 days, maybe. Probably more, honestly, and then constant nausea. Oh my god. It just wrecked me. I'm weak, and I'm recovering. It's tough. I'm drinking coconut water and Pedialyte and trying to keep it down, and then, easy fruits, all of that. I might have some rice today. We'll see if I can even function to have that, because, last time I tried to have rice, I couldn't. That's when I got really sick and had to go to the ER. So, we'll see. I'll do my best, and I'm just gonna try and take care right now, but it's scary. It's so scary to know that my body could just collapse like that I really am that weak, and I'm sure the food poisoning is what weakened my immune system leading up to this. That's why it hit me so hard so quickly, as I already was a little extra weak. I needed the little extra help, and I was continuing to damage my body. So live and learn. Life sucks, but I'm getting through it and it'll get better. I'll heal. You know, it's hard to feel like I ever will get better right now because the constant nausea. Even with the antiemetics, you know, the constant nausea is awful. It sucks. It sucks so bad. I can't do anything. I can't leave the house because I feel like throwing up, and I don't know, I haven't done laundry in a while. I've got a massive pile of clothes to deal with. I'm sweating and I go back and forth between sweating and shivers to where I'm like chattering my teeth uncontrollably. It's disgusting, honestly. I hate it. I hate what I've become. And you know what? I did it to myself. I don't have anyone else to blame. I did it to myself, and I have to bring myself out of it. I have to take care of myself. I have to heal myself because what else am I gonna do? I'm not gonna die. I'm not gonna suffer. I'm not gonna let myself get worse, you know? So what has to be done has to be done. And that's it. I'm gonna take care of myself. I gave my little sister, who has smoked before, I gave her a fair warning. Hey, don't ever smoke regularly. Like, just an FYI, our family cannot smoke. So, you know, it is what it is. And I'm fine with that. It just sucks. It just sucks. But anyway, I'll do my best to get better. Have a good day, everyone.
Well, you got your sweatband on. I'm updating apparently.